What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, as soon as right on the heels of me posting that video yesterday of Alok giving a speech at the expo, he said, there was a need to make sure that the pricing and the reforms for banking and the finance were all stable. That had to be done first before they go international. That's right. That's what he's saying. The dinar needed to be stabilized. He said they had reforms that needed to be done. This is the announcement that he made at the expo, which leads us to what's going on today. Very interesting. Real quick, everybody, we have Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's the same name as my YouTube channel. I will leave a link in the description. We do talk about the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnam dong, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, you name it. It's free to come on in and join. There's a second group I have called The Hidden Things in Front of Your Eyes. It does touch base on what's going on with current events, as well as those things that you might consider a conspiracy, such as 9/11, false flag events, the whole 9 yards. Come on to join. The links will be in the description. It's free to join, so just click it and come join us. All right, so anyways, I started to go through the news, and I find this very interesting because in the international or foreign expo for Iraq, Alok gave that speech. You guys seen that video that I posted? Sorry, it wasn't in English, but we had a lot of people translating and putting comments in there, so we were able to find out what he was saying. And basically what he was saying was, look, we need to, before we could go international, he's talking about the dinar, we have to make sure that we have reform that makes everything stable internally. The economy needed to be stable, banking needed to be stable, the pricing needed to be stable. Lo and behold, today, guess what happens? Looking like a race car driver coming out today. The Central Bank of Iraq announces the success of its efforts to reform the economic environment and achieve stability in pricing. See, this is why so many people feel like the dinar is going to happen this year, 2020. Because he said these things needed to be done. We told you that there are talented outside investors, that Iraq is open for business. These things are exciting. I told you also I wanted to get from the expo. What I was hoping to hear more of was the different investment opportunities, especially when it comes to gold. They have a lot of gold. I think the second largest deposit, and it's sitting near the surface. So, of course, I wanted to hear more about it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. But we did get what Alok was saying. And lo and behold, the next day, they have achieved it, according to Alok. This is great news. It really is. It's exciting. So let's go over this. So the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Alok, announced that the Central Bank of Iraq has succeeded in reforming the economic environment and stabilizing prices. Now, in that video, he said it needed to be done in order for them to go international. That's what he said. In order for the dinar to be accepted internationally, we had to first make sure everything was stable in country. Now the announcement is everything is stable. In his speech at the Iraq Finance Expo and followed by the news, Alok said that the Central Bank of Iraq made efforts for the purpose of reforming the economic environment based on its goals contained in its laws, which aims to achieve stability in local prices and work to maintain stable financial systems based on competition in the market, sustainable development, job creation, and economical prosperity. Now, the one thing when Dr. Shabibi was there, here's the thing that he had an issue with. He didn't like the Paris Accord Agreement, although it would get rid of a lot of debt that would mean that Iraq wouldn't have to pay it back. Like I told you guys before, he didn't like the policies that they were implementing. He says, sure, the IMF and the World Bank's policies were great at, reducing inflation, but he was not thrilled about the fact that their plan would keep would keep Iraq from growing economically. He said there's no growth in there. It just keeps the values down. And he said the only people that would benefit from this type of monetary policies are those individuals who deem to take advantage of Iraq's situation and profit off it. Globalists is what he's saying. So he walked away from the deal, and the president brought him back and talked him into let's do this deal. So now it looks like they're getting ready to start implementing reform, or have implemented reform, that will allow them to grow. So let's continue. He added that the central bank worked as an independent professional institution to prepare its monetary policies and strategic plans that include dozens of different initiatives that result in the stability of the Iraqi dinar exchange rate and the decline in stability of annual inflation within low limits of less than 1%, which is actually really, really good. In addition to the stability of interest rate monetary policy of 4%, which is an indication or indicative rate that banks can use to determine the debt or credit interest rates that they pay or change for the credit provided by them. Okay, so having inflation is low, but if you continue to have a very low rate and you have outside investors come in and they start doing business and they start needing to import, because right now Iraq has nothing, import goods, then the demand for more creation of the dinar, because it has such low purchasing power, would cause inflation to jump up. Like I said, you need a sweet spot. Somewhere around $1.13 to $1.34, somewhere in that area. That was the talk before with the central bank of Iraq and the government of Iraq. The government wanted to be reinstated at the 322 rate. The bank was saying that's not going to work. That might put too much stress and shock onto the economy. Now, I told you guys before, I have a friend, he teaches, and he said, look, I've been thinking about what we talked about with Iraq. He says, it might make sense for them to reinstate the rate at 322. And I was like, why is that? He goes, Iraq has nothing to offer. He goes, they can't compete really. And not that they don't have anything, but he's saying at the moment they need to rebuild their whole entire country. So reinstating it at the highest rate, they don't need to worry about, the types of damage it might have doing import, exports, or trade agreements, only because they don't have anything at the moment. It would make sense to come out at that high rate so that they can have higher purchasing power. That would allow them to buy and import goods that they need to rebuild their country, and then maybe lower it again, not all the way down to where it is now, of course, but lower it down around the $1.13, $1.34 mark for the purpose of being competitive on an international trade scene, is what he was saying. He said, now, had it been the other way around, and let's say that Iraq was like we see in Vietnam, they're already up, they're already going, they have great trade deals, then you don't want to come out with too high of a rate because it could be too much of a shock to the economy. So he in his mind, he said, yeah, it might make sense for them to come out and reinstate that 322 rate. I know it sounds crazy, but they're going to need to import as much stuff as possible. Now, if I'm a company coming into Iraq, of course you can take advantage of the low exchange rate because that means, employee salaries are really low. Labor is inexpensive, but you do end up paying a lot of fees doing a lot of converting back and forth in different currencies, as well as different banking issues that you're going to have because of the conversion or low value for the Iraqi dinar. They're going to have to change the rate. All right. We knew this was coming. People used to bash other people about being confident in this investment, and it looks like it's getting ready to happen at any damn day. So he noted that the management of foreign reserves in accordance with the standards issued by the International Monetary Fund and work to use them effectively to serve the requirements of the Iraqi economy and the needs of different citizens, what it should say, which is to cover the issued currency and expected imports within the standards used internationally. Okay. Which is to cover the issued currency and expected imports. See, I told you when Allah said Iraq is open for business, outside investors, want to make sure that they're safe. So there has to be some security there. We still got ISIS running around. I'm sure that's making a lot of people nervous. They seem to be well under control for now. Iran seems to have stepped back. I don't know what this means, but they seem to have quieted down all the rhetoric about the USA. They're dealing with their own issues. There's no more General Soleimani. We don't have to worry about that. There's no more al-Baghdadi. They have a new prime minister with a new cabinet. They have elections coming up for parliament here really soon. They seem to be really lining themselves up perfectly for what they need to do. The Kurdistan people are ready to settle their differences with Iraq. we know they're on the verge in settling their agreements. So, Alak pointed out that the central bank had carried out a series of procedures in light of financial crisis caused by the Rona, including reducing the legal reserves ratio to 15 to 13%, opening an account for the Ministry of Health to donate by all entities, and providing an amount of 30 billion dinars in addition to 14 billion donated by the bank and payment companies, electronic and exchange, for the purpose of providing the requirements to cope with the epidemic of the Rona. So this is good. We seen that video. We heard him talk about it, but I think it's interesting because, other people were translated for me, and I think he said they need to do this, and now he's saying it's been achieved. So this is one of the reasons why they wouldn't let me go into the conference. For some reason, they managed to know that I talk about the Iraqi dinar. It's not a big deal, but I was looking forward to hearing about other things. This is why. Once I figured out that they were not letting me in and they mentioned the dinar in my denial, I knew they were going to talk about it. We had to know they were going to talk about it. When I saw that Alak was going to be one of the speakers, of course, I was anticipating that they would be talking about the dinar. I don't know so much that they're going to say a rate, and they didn't. But I knew they were going to talk about it and the stability of the economy as well as the banking reform. But I was also looking forward to listening about other investments. So this is actually a really great article right here. This is good news. If he said at first that, internally they need to take care of things. If he's saying that the internal part's already done, the next part was to go international. Okay, so we need Kurdistan and Iraq to iron out their differences. We need Ms. Blasshart to feel very happy and come out and say so. The finance minister, Al-Kadhimi's government has a clear project in the process of economic and financial reform. Okay, the Iraq finance minister Alawi said that the current government has a clear and ongoing project in the process of economic and financial reform. One of the things they need to do is find, again, like I said before, they need to find something other than oil. I know agriculture is looking good, and they were talking about expanding that out. In addition to that, having outside investors come in and start hiring Iraqi people so they could go work and then start paying taxes and start getting off aid from the government helps. So that means there's less money paid out by the government or more money brought in. Okay, that's really good. So in his speech at the Iraq Expo and followed by, the Alawi stressed that the Ministry of Finance will present the formative white paper to the Council of Ministries and Representatives in the coming days and will include a large and broad reform package in all economic and finance sectors. I wonder what's in that white paper project or package. We'll see. He added that the Ministry of Finance will play a role in encouraging and creating the appropriate and incubating environment to advance in the new Iraq economy, especially in the finance and insurance aspect, indicating that we will focus on financial markets. I like that. And try to raise the obstacles that exist in front of our investors. Well, one of the financial markets we would love to see you guys appear on is the Forex. We would love to see them guys on the Forex. Alawi pointed out that the new reform package will give incentives to Iraq and foreign investors to contribute to the advancement of the Iraqi community, noting that there are new plans for the tax and customs system as well as for what is related to the state real estate. Okay, two good articles back to back. I'm curious about this package that they're putting forward. I'm curious to see what they're going to offer. Very interesting. So here we go. The visit of the Kurdistan delegation near agreement between Baghdad and Erbil. Now, we heard this before. And I told you that Barzani was, look, I'll forget all outstanding problems. We just need to get the money situation ironed out. They are in a crisis just like Iraq is. So it looks like they were very close in the first place, and it looks like that's what's saying here. So let's see. So the deputy of the bloc, the delegation of Kurdistan Regional Government headed by Talabani, deputy head of Kurdistan Region Government, is visiting Baghdad. Good. Let's hope they get this thing ironed out. It would be awesome if they got this thing ironed out this week. The delegation of the Kurdistan Region Government will discuss addressing outstanding problems with the federal government And I think that things are heading for the better, and there will be a joint agreement soon. Man, that would be great for them to have this agreement ironed out, settled, signed. At the same time, the package is handed to the parliament. They vote on this new package. We see the UN realize that they have done everything that they're supposed to do. Ms. Blasar gives a great report to United Nations. United Nations works with Pompeo, the IMF, and the World Bank, and they decide that Iraq is ready to restore their sovereignty and have the restrictions on their currency removed. So I think we're there. I really do. I can't help it. Now, again, last year, I don't want to pee in your Wheaties, but last year we thought we were there, but we are nowhere as close as we are now. There's way more accomplished by Iraq than there was last year under Mahdi. Way more has been achieved. Way more has been done. There is a lot of people on the international community impressed by Al-Qademi. So it's looking really, really good, you guys. So the video that we posted yesterday said there were some positive things happening. I'm happy to see this guy come out and announce that, hey, the reform is done. We are stable. We're exactly where we need to be. The reforms that we put into place worked. That was the first step. And like I said, in that video, he said they must, before the Iraq dinar can be doing anything internationally, they must first have the stability locally. So if the stability locally is done, what does that mean for us internationally? It's looking good, you guys. It's looking really good. All right, have faith. This thing is going to happen here really soon. Okay, so anyways, if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so. We're definitely trying to hit 20,000 because we think Kim Clement was talking about Pimpy's investment chat hitting 20,000. He did say look away from the Wall Street and say look at it. So look away. We're looking to hit 20,000. And Kim Clement said you'll know it. It'll happen sooner than you know, and it's definitely happened a lot quicker. All right, you guys. All right, I'll catch you later. This is great news. I'm happy to wake up to it and see what's going on. Y'all have a good one.